The Office of Civil Defense has issued the following message. This is an attack warning. Repeat, this is an attack warning. Attack warning means that an actual attack against this country has been detected and that protective action should be taken.
Chemtrails, GMOs, vaccines, occult worship, eugenics, fluoride. These are just some of the ways that the globalist criminal elite are trying to kill you. To find out why, www.thebenfellowsradioshow.com. Total resistance against the New World Order.
It's Wednesday, it's the 19th of December 2012, beg your pardon, and my guest tonight is Dr. Sam Osmanovic, and he's discovered pyramids in Bosnia, believe it or not. Dr. Osmanovic, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ben. I'm glad to be here, and my name is Dr. Sam Osmanovic.
Osmanovic, I beg your pardon, sir.
That's fine. Dr. Sam is fine.
Okay. Dr. Sam, just tell us the story of how you discovered this huge Bosnian pyramid, and when did it all begin for you?
Well, Ben, I'm university professor. My PhD is in Mayan civilization, and I have been studying pyramids for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
From Peru to China, from Egypt to Mexico, from Guatemala to Mauritius, Canary Islands to Cahokia in the US, Salvador, Belize. The pyramids are all over the planet. They've been telling us they are only in Egypt and Mexico. They are teaching us wrong. They are telling us they were built as the tombs for the pharaohs. Again, they are so wrong. Almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids. So, after I've written 10 books about the subject of pyramids and ancient civilizations, 7 years ago, I came to the central Bosnian town of Visoko, which is only 30 kilometers northwest from the capital city of Sarajevo. I came because I was invited to visit the local museum, so it was not about the pyramids. But when I came to this Bosnian town, I saw the hill towering the town with 4 sides, triangular faces, obvious corners, the same slope from the bottom to the top. And finally, when I took my compass, it showed me that those sides perfectly matched the cardinal points, east, west, north, south. And that's exactly how the pyramids were built in China, Mexico, Guatemala, and other countries. And even though we think that the pyramids should be like those in Egypt, we have to know that Egypt is, most of it is desert, it's south, but most of the pyramids, like those in China, Guatemala, Salvador, Mexico, and now in Bosnia, are covered by soil and vegetation. So in 2005, it was one-man show. I was paying for the geological core drilling, archaeological probes, the reports, and in October of 2005, I had a press conference and I published my first book about the discovery of Bosnian pyramids, announcing to the world that the first pyramids on European soil were discovered there in Bosnia.
That's amazing. So what you're saying is basically that the people who built the pyramids left signatures, as it were, in the geometry. Is that what you mean by how you recognized it was a pyramid, by when you took out your compass and what have you?
Well, the orientation of the sides of the pyramids is very important. 250 pyramids in China. They all have their sides perfectly to the north. All old Egyptian pyramids, like those in Giza, Dahshur, Meidum, and so on, they are oriented to the north. The Great Pyramid of Egypt has an error from the perfect north of 0 degrees and 2 minutes. And then we had the Bosnian State Institute for Geodesy measuring the orientation of the northern side of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. The conclusion, the error from the perfect north was 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 12 seconds. So that's the best orientation on the planet. So the orientation is important. But not only that, in the last 7 years, we have spent over 300,000 hours on archaeological excavation, sample testing, lab analysis, radiocarbon dating, and we have concluded that in this little town of Visoko, we have 5 pyramidal structures, which we named the Bosnian Pyramids of the Sun, Moon, Dragon, Earth, and Love. And under those pyramids, a huge network of prehistorical tunnels and chambers. And the whole complex we named the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. Yeah. The interesting thing when it comes to geometry is that the three main pyramids, the Sun, Moon, and Dragon, when you connect their tops, the distance is 2,170 meters between the tops, and they form perfect equilateral triangle. So obviously somebody was carefully planning how to build them, and then they executed this project.
Wow. And obviously to greater accuracy than we're doing, right? Yeah. So when you're sort of you're excavating materials and what have you. I mean, obviously, you're getting all these tested and what have you. Are you telling people, this is a piece of rock from the Bosnian Pyramid, or are you just saying test it and tell me how old it is?
Well, I've been running a very exciting interdisciplinary scientific project for 7 years. Yeah. We have had hundreds of scientists from educational, scientific institutions, independent researchers, but not only mainstream scientists, but also alternative scientists, the spiritual scientists. We have opened the project for everyone. So this is not for the elite science. This is not like discovery or exploration of Egyptian pyramids, Chinese pyramids, Mexican pyramids. Anyone can come and work under expert supervision, or if they come and do their analysis, we ask them to share their results with us so we can share them with the world.
Wow.
Then what we have so far, we got 7 elements that will forever change our view of the ancient history.
Yeah.
Element number 1, these are the first pyramids in Europe. Number 2, these are the biggest, the largest pyramids on the planet. The Cheops pyramid in Egypt is 147 meters in height, and the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is over 220 meters. The element number 3, the orientation is the most precise on the planet. The element number 4, when you remove the layers of soil, approximately 1 meter, we find rectangular blocks.
Yeah.
We analyze them, those blocks, in 6 different institutes for materials in France, in Italy, in Bosnia. They concluded that this was a man-made concrete of much better quality than what we can make today in 21st century. The element number 5, these are the oldest pyramids on the planet, much older than the end of the last ice age, 12,000 years ago. The element number 6, under the pyramids, we have the most extensive network of tunnels and chambers. And finally, the element number 7, in those tunnels, we are finding huge ceramic blocks up to 8 tons. So those 7 elements forever change what we learn in the history books. So we have to change them, and these will be the significant changes from little Sarajevo, Paris, London, to Boston, New York, New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're just going to be annoying everybody. I mean, this is the first time, I think, maybe where such a major project is undertaken, where it's not the elites controlling everything. How have people been willing to change their viewpoints and, of what history is?
You're completely right. In 2005, I've established non-profit, non-government foundation called Archaeological Park Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation. Yeah. It was for the first time that such a huge archaeological and scientific project is not run by the Department of Archaeology, by universities, by Ministry of Cultures, by museums, by people who are paid to their job, but by the group of enthusiasts, people who love the research, who love the pyramids, who love their own country. And we are open for everyone. And we said from day one, hey, it's not enough just to apply our material senses and our physical science. We have to be open and view it through 3 different realms: physical, energy, and spiritual. Then, and only then, we can understand those ancient monuments.
Yeah, so the Bosnian pyramids, what are we talking 15,000 years ago, perhaps?
As far as the age, we have 2 scientific information so far.
Yeah.
The pyramids are covered by soil.
Yeah.
So if we can figure out the age of the soil, then we can give the minimum age of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Well, the science that investigated the origin of soil is called pedology. The Bosnian State Institute for Pedology have analyzed the soil on the pyramids of the Sun and the Moon, and their scientific result is that the soil is between 12 and 15,000 years old,
Wow.
meaning that the pyramids are even older. And then this summer, while excavating the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, we were removing the layers of soil and clay, and on top of the concrete blocks, we discovered the organic material. That was the fossilized leaf. So the structure was there, the wind was blowing, bringing this leaf, and then it stayed there. We've analyzed this leaf in a radiocarbon lab in Kiev, Ukraine. The result, 24,800 years plus minus 200 years, meaning that it's another minimum age of the pyramid because the structure was already there. So when you have in mind that what they teach us in school is that human history of advanced societies is only 7,000 years old.
Yeah.
Everything started with Sumer, they said.
Yeah.
Then Babylon, Akkad, Assyria, ancient Egypt, ancient India. All of a sudden, we have a proof of very advanced civilization much before that one. But then when you connect the dots, for example, Yonaguni monuments on the bottom of Pacific floor, over 12,000 years. Göbekli Tepe, Eastern Turkey, the megaliths, over 12,000 years. The first builders of Machu Picchu in Peru, over 12,000 years. The first builders of Teotihuacan, City of Pyramids in Mexico, over 12,000 years. Now, the mainstream science will have to realize, hey, there was another cycle of very advanced humans before us, which obviously disappeared in a global catastrophe over 12,000 years ago, when 99% of humanity vanished. Those who survived, when they came on the surface, they had to start from the beginning, and that is the history of Neolithic man.
Right. Wow, that's extraordinary. Oh, my mind is is reeling, with some of these concepts. I mean, that's incredible.
That's just the beginning. These are the things that change our history.
Yeah.
And now hear about the things that will have potential to change our future. We were thinking about the purpose of pyramids. What they teach us in schools, they say, oh, they were tombs for the pharaohs. But then, in the Great Pyramid of Egypt, or Cheops Pyramid, the mummy of the pharaoh Cheops was never discovered.
Yeah.
In Khafre Pyramid, no mummy of Pharaoh Khafre, no mummy of Pharaoh Myceren, no mummy of Pharaoh Sneferu, no mummy of Pharaoh Djoser. The pharaohs were buried about 300 kilometers to the south in the Valley of Kings. The pyramids were not built as a place for one dead body. They were built for the generations of living humans. How do we know that? Well, I realized that archaeologists, Egyptologists, geologists cannot help us in explaining the purpose of pyramids because nobody taught them in the schools.
Yeah.
Who can help us are the experts for the energy phenomena. Physicists, electrical engineers. So, from 2010 in Bosnia, we've been bringing teams from Croatia, Serbia, Finland, Italy to help us measure different energy phenomena. The first one to come was the physicist from Zagreb, Dr. Slobodan Mizrak. He came with his 10-member team. He was measuring electromagnetic phenomenon. He was looking for the anomalies in the town of Visoko, on the nearby hills, on the Pyramid of the Sun itself. No anomalies until he came to the very top. And there, in the central area of plateau, in the area of 4.5 meters radius, he has detected and measured the presence of electromagnetic field of 28 kilohertz frequency. Now, this frequency is important because it does not come regularly in Mother Nature.
Yeah.
It comes seldomly. He got out from this radius, no detection. He went back, he could detect it again. It meant that the electromagnetic field does not go left or right on the top of the Sun Pyramid, but it goes like the energy beam through the top of the pyramid going up. And then, after him, we had the scientist from Belgrade, engineer Goran Marjanovic. He measured with his equipment the same phenomenon, 28 kilohertz frequency. We had two more verifications from Finland, sound engineer Heikki Savolainen, and from Italy, anthropologist Professor Paolo De Bertolis. In science, when you have four different scientific groups using their scientific instruments, coming at different times, measuring the same phenomenon, it is called international scientific verification. So they have verified that on the top of the Sun pyramids, we have energy beam. Then we measure it during 4 different seasons, spring, summer, and fall, and winter. The phenomenon was always there. And finally, the most exciting thing, we measured the strength of the signal.
Yeah.
On the top of the Sun pyramid, on the surface, then we lifted the antenna 3 meters higher. The signal was stronger. We lifted for another 3 meters. The signal was even stronger.
Well, can I just, I mean, you know, being devil's advocate, but usually you find, surely, the further away from the source you get, the weaker a signal becomes, or am I mistaken from school
Smart.
physics?
You are a very smart man, Ben.
Yeah.
Our technology, which we can name Hertzian technology, tells us closer to the source of the signal is stronger. You move away, the signal is weaker.
Yeah.
But since in Bosnia everything is upside down, the pyramid works differently. You move away from the pyramid, the signal is getting stronger. So let's name this phenomenon non-Hertzian phenomenon.
Yeah.
21st century, we don't have non-Hertzian technology. However, the guy who was born 250 kilometers to the west from Bosnian Pyramids experimented with this phenomenon in 1899 and 1900 in his lab in Colorado Springs. And his name was Nikola Tesla. He has proven that with his, we call it today Tesla's coil, Tesla's transformer, he was able to produce an energy beam which he would send to the ionosphere, and then it would reflect, come back much stronger, non-Hertzian phenomenon. And then he was able to lit up 10,000 homes in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Proving for the first time that this type of energy is possible.
Well,
now,
it was, as far as I can see, that it's Wi-Fi, or is that too a simplistic term, really, that he...
Smart guy, exactly.
Yeah.
Because the transportation was wireless, no cables. So imagine, 112 years ago, the guy proved that clean energy was possible, that unlimited quantities of energies were possible, that non-Hertzian technology was possible, that wireless technology was possible, that free energy was possible. What did American corporations do? Did they accept this invention? Of course not. How they would sell free energy? No profits there.
Yeah.
Instead, they were building very expensive thermal and hydro power plants, nowadays nuclear power plants. During the transportation, they lose 20 to 50% of the energy. So finally, they sell it to us and the users for money.
Yeah.
And there's a profitable economy. However, I do hope that one day the free energy will be available to all of us. And that will be the first pillar of the free society.
Yeah.
The second pillar will be the free flow of knowledge and information. Instead of elites having monopoly on them, we want the whole society to have the free flow of the information. And then, with those two pillars, we will have the base for the society of free women and free men.
Yeah. So, basically, a pyramid, looking quite possible that it's a power station, and that Nikola Tesla found out, that, uncovered the secret because did he holiday there every year, or did he go and visit all the time? So he obviously discovered how it worked, and that's what we're basically calling the Tesla coil, which I think is...
Tesla was a genius man 150 years ahead of his time.
Yeah.
So we another 40, 50 years to realize how great this man was. But when we go back to the pyramids, it seems that the ancient builders, original builders,
Yeah.
who were much more advanced than us, they knew that the shape of the pyramid was very important. The second thing is the orientation. When you orient the pyramid to the north, south, east, west, they knew why they were doing that. Because everything is nature, is the energy.
Yeah.
Our planet is like the energy ball, and the energy flows exactly that way, those directions, north, south, east, west. So when you orient four sides of the pyramids, east, west, north, south, then the energy starts being initialized inside, within the pyramid. But the next thing is, the question is, how come the pyramid generates electromagnetic field?
Yeah.
And is the only type of the energy that the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun generates? The answer is, it's not the only type of the energy. We have measured and detected on the top of the Sun Pyramid another phenomenon called ultrasound. Now, ultrasound is something that we cannot hear. We hear from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz.
Yeah.
Detected 28 to 33 kilohertz of the ultrasound. So, this type of the frequency, again, does not come free in the nature. You need a mechanism, a machine to produce those electromagnetic and ultrasound fields of 28 kilohertz. So obviously, the Sun Pyramid in Bosnia was some type of the energy machine.
Yeah.
Even today, it produces energy continuously during all 4 seasons. So it is possible that for at least 25,000 years, we've got the first perpetual mobile in the heart of Bosnia.
Wow. And it's I mean, and this is extraordinary implications on mankind, isn't it? Really. So, is it plausible to say, without trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist person, but is it plausible to say that at some point, many thousands of years ago, an ancient civilization lived here that was extremely intelligent and basically had free electricity or energy all around the world, wherever these pyramids were found?
Exactly right.
Right.
Statement is right. Now, the pyramid for itself does not generate energy from nothing.
Yeah.
It does use existing natural sources. Now, when we did an experiment in April of 2012 on the top of the pyramid for 2 days and 2 nights, we sent our raw information to Belgrade, Zagreb, and the Institute in Vienna, and we asked them where was the source of electromagnetic fields. Their answer was the source was 2,440 meters below the pyramid with 410 meters shift, and it's a huge iron plate. As we know, iron does generate its own electromagnetic fields.
Yeah.
The pyramid does. It sucks that energy, amplifying it. How do we know that the pyramid amplifies the energy? Well, the team of the Russian scientists, they are geophysicists from the Schmidt Institute from Moscow, Professor Oleg Kavroshkin and Professor Vladislav Tsiplakov, have measured the strength of the signal on the bottom and top of the pyramids in Egypt and Bosnia. Their conclusion, the signal on the top is 50 to 500 times stronger than on the bottom. So it amplifies the energy. So what's happening in Bosnia? The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is getting this electromagnetic field from the iron plate, amplifying it. But then also, we know that there are underground water flows, like underground rivers, under the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. And in between 2 rivers, the electricity is created. And we know about that today.
Yeah.
The third source of the energy is magnetic energy. In the core of our planet, the magma generates magnetic field around our planet. The fourth source of energy, when you have water flow, it generates negative ions. Mm-hmm. Pyramid basically sucks all of these different types of energies, amplifying it. So on the top of the Sun pyramids, we measure 3 different types of the energy: electromagnetic, ultrasound, infrasound, but who knows how many more. We simply don't have scientific instruments today.
Sure.
All of them. For example, the life energy, chi, orgon, they don't have instruments to measure them.
Yeah.
So the ancients were smart when they positioned the pyramids above energy potent places in Bosnia, in Giza, in Teotihuacan in Mexico, in Shanxi province in China, in Peru, in Bolivia, and other places. So obviously they are smarter than us because they built energy machines that they still work today. So they've been working for thousands of years, and I call them original pyramids. After them, people who came, like ancient Egyptians, ancient Chinese, they tried to build a replica, but did not have knowledge or technology to build those machines.
Yeah, so so it was lost, and we've ended up where we are basically over time with people fighting over energy ever since, basically. But at one point, this planet had free energy. That's it, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, having you explaining how the pyramid's working, which is basically a transformer, so it steps up the energy as it moves through the pyramid, is basically what you're saying. So that's very much the way the Tesla coil worked, wasn't it?
Now, a couple more things are very important.
Sure.
First, the height of the machine, in our case, height of the pyramid. It is 782 meters, which is exactly the length of the secondary wire in the case of Tesla's coil. And we know that the lengths are very important because they affect the frequencies. And secondly, probably even more important, what we did with the help of the geophysicists from Russia, from Germany, from Austria, and from Serbia, we learned that inside the pyramid of the sun in Bosnia, we got the network of tunnels, and they are on different levels, anyway from 5 meters deep to 350 meters in depth.
Yeah.
The levels, every higher level is a little bit moved, so it looks like a spiral. Now the spirals are very important. When you have the energy flow through the spiral, on the top you got the Tesla's waves or non-Hertzian waves.
Yeah.
So when you look at the whole complex and you realize how the ancients were smart, they were using, available natural materials, available natural resources, building basically artificial machines.
Wow, and it's so you've got your energy, and you've got these other complexes with all these tunnels in. Do you know what these were used for?
Well, after 30 minutes, we can start speculating. So far, it's scientific argument.
Sure.
But if we are to speculate, if you have an energy beam going through the top of the pyramid somewhere to the universe, and the signal is getting stronger, theoretically, you could reach any planet in our solar system. You could reach any planet in some other, star systems, or maybe even in some other galaxies. So when you establish the energy bridge between two planets, theoretically, you can move your radio waves, you can move your frequencies, you can move information. So now the pyramid becomes very powerful communication device.
Yeah.
Secondly, what are we as humans? According to Tesla, we are all just different frequencies. We vibrate at one frequency, the trees vibrate different, our planet different frequency, and since we are just a frequency, we are an energy. When you have this energy bridge, of course there is a way to move different frequencies. Now you have a base for what is known as the teleportation. Teleportation really requires only huge amounts of energy.
Yeah.
Third possible use. During the first May parades in Moscow or China, if they have stormy weather, what they do, they send those projectiles, to kill, to dissipate those storm clouds.
Yeah.
Another way, we have a possibility to adjust the climate. Well, with the energy beam from the pyramids, you got the same thing. You can adjust the climate. The fourth thing, you can do heating. The fifth thing, you can do healing. it's like laser. Laser you can use, to fix your eyes.
Sure.
Sixth thing, you can use it for the military purposes, of course. So really, our imagination is our limit. How we can use the huge quantities of continuous pyramid energy.
And so, if we're thinking about, because obviously what you've been talking about really it needs a civilization who thinks on a let's say galactic or at least in a solar system kind of way. When because you'd have to know what was here, so you'd know where to put your pyramids and what have you. So that's an amazing idea, anyway.
It's such a huge idea, huge breakthrough. And no wonder we had the obstacles from day one. Just an idea to have pyramids in Europe, so many scientists were against that. Like here in Bosnia, they were saying, well, we did not have pharaohs, we did not have hundreds of thousands of slaves, not realizing that they show their lack of knowledge. Pyramids have nothing to do with one dead bodies. It has to do with the communities of living people or living builders. But then, in the last 2 years, once we started, detecting those energy phenomena, now we have potential to change our future. Now imagine the impact it's going to have to the society, or it can have to the society. Now we will have to deal with the really big guys, big corporations, and you can change the society for 180 degrees. We can see how smart those ancients were. When we remove the layers of soil from the Sun Pyramid, we find rectangular blocks. And then we send the samples to different institutes for materials. We sent them to France, to Institute for Geopolymers, run by Dr. Joseph Davidovits, which is the most distinguished scientist for the ancient concretes and ancient cements. And he said, hey, I found artificial binding material, which he called geopolymer cement. Sent our samples to the Politecnico di Torino in Turin, Italy, which is the leading Italian construction institute, and they are telling us the binding material for the concrete was clay, which they heat to 400 degrees. We sent to 4 different Bosnian institutes in Sarajevo, in Tuzla, in Zenica. They're all telling us this is a man-made concrete. Describe as technological process. And then you have geologists from Tuzla in Bosnia, from Zagreb, Croatia, from Paris, from London, from New Orleans, from Boston, saying, oh, it's all natural. Well, they are doing that from their cozy chairs in their offices, and we have tests done by 6 institutes. Who to believe? Well, I would believe to people, who does the concrete analysis. When it comes to concrete, there are 2 properties that determine the quality of concrete. The first one is hardness. The harder the concrete, the better the quality.
Sure.
Concretes in 21st century are in the range from 10 megapascals to 60 megapascals. 60 megapascals are made in Germany and the US. They're like custom made, extremely hard. Well, the concretes in Bosnia on the Sun Pyramid are in the range from 73 to 134 megapascals. Never in human history such good quality concrete was made like the one that covered the biggest pyramid on the planet. Second property of quality of concrete is the water absorption. If the water can get into the concrete during the winter time, it freezes and then it breaks.
Sure.
So the idea is to keep the absorption very low. Our norms up to 3%. What we find on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is 1%. So it is superior.
Yeah.
So now the question is, why would somebody make such a good quality concrete to cover a huge area of the pyramid? The answer is to prevent the energy to get out on the sides. So basically they were focusing the energy coming through the pyramid to the very top.
Wow.
You can see every step, how carefully planned, their construction.
Yeah.
Structures.
And is this recipe for building pyramids, is this pretty much identical around the world, depending on various geological conditions and what have you?
Well, we do have some similarities and some differences.
Sure.
Similarities, we have the shape of the pyramid. It's geometry, 4 triangular sides.
Yeah.
Second similar element is the orientation. All the original pyramids, Chinese, Egyptian, Peruvian, Cahokia, Bosnian, oriented to the north. The third element is a little bit different, the construction material. They were using local materials. In Guatemala, they used volcanic stone. In Peru, they used adobe bricks. In Mexico, they used sandstone and granite. In Egypt, they used limestone and granite. In China, they used sandstone and granite. In Bosnia, they used this conglomerate for the concrete making process. So they were using local materials, but they were always extremely hard materials. So these are the original pyramids. And in most cases, they are built over 12,000 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, sorry.
Yes.
Continue, sorry.
Yes, and so like in case of Egypt, when Egyptian pharaohs came, the pyramids were already there. So they were trying to make a replica, but they did not have technology nor construction materials. So what they were using mud bricks, which is construction material even used today.
Yeah.
Because the ancient Egyptians, they had no technology to shape granite from Aswan. It was done by the civilization prior to the pharaonic Egypt. The same thing in China. 20 big pyramids made from granite and sandstone blocks, 230 smaller ones built during very concrete pharaonic, emperor dynasties in China, from Emperor Qin 2,200 years ago until 1000 BP. They were using, again, mud bricks. So they are teaching us in schools that humanity evolves. First we were primitive cavemen, today we are the most intelligent, the most technologically advanced, the most beautiful. Well, they're teaching us wrong. We did have civilizations before us that they were much more advanced than we are.
Yeah, and it sounds like from how you've described the other pyramids around the world, is that it seems to be, the same reason as you get these architects now that go around the world building these great big hotels and business complexes where they look around the local area, they know how they're building the building, and they just say, oh, well, we can use these materials here to do what we know works, That's how it sounds to me when you describe that.
Excellent. You came very well prepared for this interview, Ben. We can see that, for example, Mexican pyramid in the city of Teotihuacan, the biggest one is the Pyramid of the Sun, and the Great Pyramid of Egypt. They both have square base. The length at the base is 232 meters in both cases. The height of the Mexican, 74. The height of the Egyptian, exactly 2 times higher. In Egyptian pyramid, we have number pi, 3.14, incorporated. In Mexican, we have rules from number pi. 3 big pyramids in Mexico and Teotihuacan, Sun, Moon, Quetzalcoatl, 3 big pyramids on Giza Plateau, Cheops, Khafre, Mycerium, and their layout is the same. They're telling us in schools there were no communication between the continents.
Yeah.
And Christopher Columbus came 500 years ago. Well, they're telling us wrong. The communication between the continents was there, not thousands, but tens of thousands of years. We have to learn from our past. We have to find a way to retrieve those information from all those ancient monuments. We have to find a way how to get the knowledge to flow to all of us, not to belong to the elites only anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to think of a gift for mankind, I would basically give mankind free energy and communications and free healthcare. And it seems like somebody at some point did exactly that.
Exactly right. So you need to join us in our project in Bosnia. As I said, we are open for everyone. And we've proven that in last 3 years. We've been organizing international summer camp for volunteers. 2010, 500 volunteers came from 30 countries. In 2011, from 32 countries. And this 2012, they came from 52 countries and 6 continents. All European countries, but also from Brazil, Peru, Colombia, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, from Morocco, Jordan. They came to Bosnia. They thought it was a country of war and violence. Not anymore. 15 years ago, the war was over. Now it's becoming a country of archaeology, cultural heritage, tourism, volunteers, young people, and those who feel young at their hearts. They come to Bosnia. They are becoming very active parts of history. They're not witnessing from their homes, but they are part of the history. They are helping us excavate. They are part of the daily discoveries. And of course, next season, we're going to have another summer camp in 2013, June, July, August, September, from 2nd of June till September 22nd, 2 weeks shift. They come, they spend 2 weeks, they work with us, they have opportunity to become a part of the history without, being a professor, archaeologist, or students of archaeology. They can be really just good, intentional people. We give them a chance to work under the expert supervision. So on our official website, which is BosnianPyramidOfTheSun.com, BosnianPyramidOfTheSun.com. They can fill out the application, choose the date, and they join us.
Great. And we'll put all those links to your websites as well on the interview, so people can just click through and go straight there. So people are basically using their holiday time to come and do something that was really only the preserve of university students.
Exactly right.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
I'm from so many countries, and when I do the tour with the new shift, I tell them, hey, today you don't know each other. You are coming from 20 different countries. But in a couple of days, through the physical work, you'll be able to get to know each other much quicker, much faster than through any other activities. And 2 weeks from now, when the time comes to leave Bosnia, you will be crying. Yeah. Because of the friendship that you already established. And not only the friendship, we had the cases that people got engaged on our 5th pyramid, which we call the Pyramid of Love. People got married on the Bosnian Pyramid. So, it has become a unique scientific project in the world, but much more than science itself.
Yeah, so people are gravitating to it because, let's go and just say, these are these free energy power plants, and some work now and some don't, but people are gravitating to them to try and uncover them, and so free energy is pretty much bringing them together anyway, isn't it? Regardless of whether we use it or not, it's working.
Right. Ben, we have this underground tunnel network. The first year we had about 50 meters. After a year, we've cleaned another 100 meters of existing tunnels and another 100. So right now we have about 940 meters of prehistorical tunnels under the pyramids. In those tunnels, we find the huge megalithic blocks, 2 tons, 4 tons, 8 tons. This one of 8 tons, which we call megalith K2, we've done the analysis, and they told us that it was ceramic, so somebody was making it. And when you sit around the megalithic block K2, you open your hands, and you can feel energy coming through your hands. And sometimes we bring the group of tourists there, and we ask tourists, okay, can you tell us if you feel energy? Half of them do, half of them don't. But when the volunteers are there, all of them do feel the energy. Some of them are really very sensitive. So I would say these people, they have the inner call to come to Bosnia. Somehow they were connected with the pyramid complex in the past.
Yeah, that's amazing, because of course one of the ways that I believe anyway that we're being damaged as human beings is with microwave energies, mobile phones and RF signals and all this kind of soup that we live in. So this is the way that it should be used to make people feel better.
You're right. When we are sitting in our offices or homes in UK, in Bosnia, in the US, we are actually exposed to so many different negative radiations. For example, cosmic radiation. Some of the cosmic rays, they go through us, through our planets with no harm, but some of them are very damaging to our bodies. Then the second thing, Hartmann grids. People who know dowsing, they know that there are lines, east, west, north, south. The places where they meet every 2.5 meters, those intersections are very bad for us. There is a natural radioactivity underground. There is underground waters which are also bad for us. So all our life, our bodies are exposed to those negative radiations. Well, guess what? We've measured cosmic radiations in the Bosnian underground tunnels. There are none. We measured Hartmann grids. They are equal 0. we measured natural radioactivity. It is 10 times lower than minimum allowed. We measured the negative energy of underground water flows. Again, no negative but positive energy. So when you enter those tunnels, all this negativity remained behind you, plus no technical radiation. That's what you just mentioned, microwaves and the watches and clocks and the phones and whatever.
Yeah.
So when you are inside, our body cells don't have enemies to fight. So they can do their job. What is their job? Their job is to fix problems in our bodies. So in the last couple of years, we have had so many testimonies from the tourists and volunteers that presence in the tunnel has really helped their bodies. I mean, some of the diseases were healed. People who come with asthma because of excellent, of perfect airflow inside, they got healed from asthma. People who have some allergies, allergies are gone, headaches, back pains. It seems that when you enter those underground tunnels, it is like a trigger to your body. The body cells start the regeneration process. And now we are coming closer to the end of the show. We are coming to the answer. What was the purpose of pyramids? What was the purpose of underground tunnels? Because underground tunnels then follow all original pyramids in Egypt, in China, in Mexico, in Peru. Now, the pyramids, obviously, the main purpose, energy machine for different types of energies, but huge quantities.
Yeah.
And tunnels, with the energy flow that we measured inside, electromagnetic, again, very good. Ultrasound kills viruses and bacteria. High concentration of negative ions, they kill microbes too. So all these energy flows basically help to protect what is the most sacred to us, and that is our health. And now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead of what they are teaching us, building a huge, colossal construction for one dead body, they actually built those pyramids to serve generations for thousands of years.
Which is a message within itself, clearly. I mean, when you go underneath these pyramids and what have you come to the water sources? Have you found pools of water in there and things like that?
We are finding artificially made lakes.
Yeah. We
are finding several lakes in the underground labyrinth, and we know through dowsers that there are a lot of underground waters and a lot of underground rivers under the Bosnian Pyramids, which means that the builders very carefully picked up the location where to place the Pyramid Valley. So the water they were using for different things.
So do we know the quality of the water that you found in these underground sort of lakes? I mean, has the pyramid cleaned the water with using energies and frequencies, or is it kind of like stagnant pools and what have you?
The tunnels are 25 meters below the surface. Mm-hmm. And we are finding those little lakes. This is not the surface water, because we measure during the winter and the spring and fall, when you have more rains and snow, the water level does not change. Yeah. And then during the summer, when it is dry, the water level does not change. So the water has been there for thousands of years. Yeah. What would you expect from water that's been on still water for thousands of years, that it is all green with all kind of viruses and bacteria? Yeah. Well, we took samples, sent them to the Institute for Public Health in Zenica in Bosnia. And after they did the microbiological analysis and physical chemical analysis, they reported that the water was clean and drinkable. Why? Well, when the water moves, and we are finding like channels where the water was moving, when the water moves, it generates negative ions. And negative ions act as the barrier for the viruses and bacteria. So the ancients were so smart. Yeah. With the high concentration of negative ions, it becomes a healing water. So, they were using always natural resources, but they knew how to manipulate with them, and they knew how to manipulate with the energies.
Yeah, I mean, are there any? I think that's incredible. Is there any clues as to the architects? Who were they? You know, is there any sort of writings inside of anything you've discovered?
Now, we are finding several cultural layers.
Yeah.
You know, the builders of those huge megalithic blocks, the builders of the tunnels and the pyramids. And then finally, in those tunnels, when we discovered them, they were all closed. They were filled up with the huge quantities of materials, sands and pebbles and rocks. But there was another civilization. When it comes to the age, we know that the builders are 12,000 plus years.
Yeah.
Then the civilization who filled in all these tunnels, they are 4,600 years. But then we are finding on some of the blocks some type of the runic symbols. Runes are one of the oldest alphabets in Europe. They go anywhere between 2,000 and 5,000 years. Yeah. There are several cultural layers. But so far we have not found any writings that belong to the original builders. And I would say they are so advanced that they would not need an alphabet like we do today. There are much more advanced ways to communicate.
Yes,
telepathy, for example. Why would you need to write something if you can move your comprehensive thinking through the telepathy?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I suppose the fact that you can make pi out of the dimensions of the pyramid is a message within itself, I guess.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And you know, we can see that those so-called irrational numbers, because pi is, you know, an irrational number, 3.141592653589 and so on. I mean, it's endless. For the ancients, they were very important. Then number 5, 1.6, then root of number 2 and number 3. I mean, they are all irrational. The last two were incorporated in Bosnian Pyramids because for the ancients, if you have irrational number, it is alive for them. And their message by incorporating those numbers in the pyramids for us was, hey, the pyramids were alive.
Wow. This is it really is amazing. And of course, you know, we've lost this technology now, and then Nikola Tesla, you know, came back and or said, hey, look, this has been lost, and rediscovered it. And of course, powers that be clamped down on him. I do remember, I think maybe he lived at the similar time as Nikola Tesla, another scientist who was working on medical frequencies of energy, and was sent, I think, 40 patients to him to cure who were terminally ill. And he used, I can't remember what term he used, maybe it was biomedical electricity or something like that, to cure these patients.
All right, now you are talking about Dr. Royal Rife.
That's him, yeah, that's who I was thinking of.
Royal Rife in 1931 invented microscope, under which he was able to see for the first time alive viruses. In 1934, he invented another machine. That was the machine to produce ultrasound. What he was doing then, he was changing the frequency of the ultrasound, and he finally found the frequency to kill the viruses, to kill the bacteria, to kill all other microbes. And as we know, the microbes are the base for all our diseases.
Yeah.
And then he challenged the mainstream medical community in the US, telling them, I am able to cure any disease. So what they did, they brought terminally ill patients, ill from cancer, to his lab. Within 3 weeks, he cured 86% of the patients, and then it took him another 3 weeks while he was playing with different frequencies, and then he healed 100% of those patients. That was shock for American medical community, but that was a fact. Very soon, he was approached by AMA, American Medical Association, who wanted to buy all his 5 instruments to produce ultrasound. Yeah. Now, Dr. Rife knew that behind AMA is American pharmaceutical industry. And of course, it was not in their best interest to produce machines that will keep us healthy all our life. So, what he did, he refused this offer. The very next day, his lab was burned down and his instruments were stolen. By 1939, his work was claimed illegal and he died as the alcoholic, very disappointed in 1960s. So that's a very sad story, which tells us that the interests of corporations are ahead of the interests of us humans.
So basically, we don't have to use chemotherapy because something was invented 100 or so years ago that will kill you of everything.
Exactly right.
So the ancients, 24,000 years ago, however long they lived, whoever they were, knew this and knew that health and communications and free energy were the basis of a great civilization, of a free civilization.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it sounds. It actually sounds like a science fiction novel, but this is, I suppose, the sort of, when you think about how we're manipulated, and we're told that grave robbers went into the pyramids and they stole things, and then they were killed by some sort of mysterious curse. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, but we've believed it.
Exactly right. I mean, that's so important for humanity, and no wonder why people in the mainstream science try to discredit what we do in Bosnia, and try to discredit myself. Even though I'm a PhD and professor and member of Russian Academy of Natural Sciences, they are saying, oh, this amateur is running the project for himself, and it's all wrong. We've had 3 scientific conferences with so many scientific articles, and the only way we can fight that is to stay open, invite everyone who wants to come and decide for himself or herself what we have, and what we do have is extraordinary, significant phenomenon for the whole world.
Yeah, there's a couple more questions I want to ask you to get to, but have you had any politicians and government people come over and look at the pyramid as you've been working on it?
They've been coming for the last 7 years, a lot of them, Bosnian prime ministers and presidents and ambassadors and ministers, and they've been coming a lot. But then, the people who were against us were mostly from cultural establishment, archaeologists, geologists, historians. I mean, imagine for 34 years you do your job, and somebody comes from Houston, Texas, and they tell you, hey, this is the biggest discovery in front of your nose. Of course they didn't like that. Plus, you change the history books. They don't like that. You change the way they teach their students. They don't like it. So they want to stop that. Yeah. So they've been writing petitions from Bosnia, then from UK, from US, trying to stop the project, saying, oh, this is the big hoax. They want to make money. Things like that. They are destroying, ancient monuments. But, if you want to do archaeological work, you need to provide the project documentation. Every year you need to do your report. They come, they do the checking. We do everything per book. We do everything, as requested by law. Yeah. And people know that we do that. And I would say that those who are trying to stop us, they realize that the scientific arguments are on our end. And in 2006, so many people were saying, oh, there is nothing there. But 2012 and the years ahead of us, they are bringing so many scientific arguments on our end. So basically, we have won this battle.
Yeah, that's amazing. And let's just talk about the... I suppose up until recently, before you made your amazing discoveries, how has Egypt taken all this with they're no longer having the biggest pyramids in the world? I mean, that's going to affect tourism and all sorts. Have they taken the news very badly?
Exactly right. Well, what we have when it comes to Egyptian scientists, we have had several Egyptian scientists coming in 2006, 7, 8, and among them were triple PhD in archaeology, Professor Nabil Svelem, the guy who discovered 4 pyramids in Egyptian deserts. And in his first report, 2007, 2008, he claimed that the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is the biggest pyramid on the planet because it fulfilled all the scientific criteria. Later on, they were putting so much pressure on him. They threatened that he's going to lose his pension, retirement, so he kind of disassociated himself from the project. And we had a geologist, Dr. Ali Barakat, who spent 42 days in Bosnia researching the Bosnian pyramids. He wrote his scientific report, and on June 23rd, 2006, he had his report in front of the press here in Sarajevo, Associated Press, France Press, Reuters, all others. And he ended his report with the words, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is a man-made pyramid. The same day, from the National Museum of Bosnia, they are sending a letter to his boss, the pharaoh, Dr. Zahi Hawass, the guy who was the head of Supreme Council of Egyptian Antiquities. And they are telling him, your man confirmed the existence of Bosnian pyramids. It's impossible. You need to do everything to stop him. Well, 2 days later, June 25th, there was a meeting in Cairo between the Ministry of Culture of Egyptian government, Ministry of Tourism, and Zahi Hawass, Supreme Council for Antiquities, with one topic on agenda: the effects of the Bosnian pyramid discovery to tourism in Egypt. Now, every year, 8 million people come to Egypt to visit their pyramids, and they leave $15.5 billion to Egyptian economy.
Wow.
Now, imagine 20% of the tourists, and majority are from UK, France, Poland, and Russia, from European countries. Instead, to Africa, 20%, if they come to Little Bosnia, which happens to be on European continent, 20% of $15.5 billion is over $3 billion. So obviously, Ben, discovery of Bosnian pyramids is not a local issue. It's a global, scientific, economical, and political issue. So after the meeting, Dr. Hawass is coming in front of the reporters telling them there are no pyramids in Bosnia.
Oh, dear.
Those so-called concrete blocks are just natural blocks. Dr. Barakat is no expert in pyramids. And Osmanagic is hallucinating. Dr. Barakat went back to Cairo. He was working for the Ministry of Geology. And they fired him because he dared to speak his scientific mind. He did not ask for the permission of his superiors. But what we did do, we kept hallucinating, and 6 years later, the project is open for everyone. The whole world is coming to Bosnia, volunteering, visiting us, and they are so impressed when they come with the tunnels, with the pyramids. They know that the huge discovery has been done.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, Dr. Sam, look, thank you ever so much for coming on the show. Will you keep in touch and let us know how things go with other developments? I'm in. I want to know more. I'm going to come over and see you. And that's just not a radio thing. I mean, we'll arrange it.
So
we'll do it next time you have a thing.
I will see you next summer of 2013, and thank you for your time.
No, you're very welcome, sir. Thank you, and we'll speak again. And it's been an absolutely fascinating conversation, and I've really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Well, mind-blowing today. It really has been. Thank you to my guest, Dr. Sam. Don't forget to come to the website. It's www.thebenfellowsradioshow.com. We now have an RSS feed that we've managed to work out, so we put that on there. So instead of you coming back and checking out the website every week or whatever you do, you can now just sign up to the RSS feed. And the emails, the episodes, so you don't have to think about it. You just click on it and start listening. So that's at www.thebenfellowsradioshow.com. Thank you to my guest. It's been a brilliant night. Thank you to you for listening. I'm Ben Fellows, and I'm signing off.
Chemtrails, GMOs, vaccines, occult worship, eugenics, fluoride. These are just some of the ways that the globalist criminal elite are trying to kill you. To find out why, www.thebenfellowsradioshow.com. Total resistance against the New World Order.
And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
The Office of Civil Defense has issued the following message. This is an attack warning. Repeat, this is an attack warning. Attack warning means that an actual attack against this country has been detected and that protective action should be taken.